in the studio in Johannesburg. David, who do we have?
Well, this evening, Lindsay, we've got Mark Ingham of Ingham Analytics and Edward Kieswetter, who is from Alexander Forbes. Of course, he's the chief executive there, as our guest hosts. And we're also joined now by Nkareng Mpobane, who is portfolio manager at Ashburton Investments. That's to look at the MMI numbers. So we heard Nicolas Kriel there. Let's start with you, Nkareng. Heard him there talking, and as I said earlier, they're serial acquisitors. They're also in the DNA of the company is take over companies and make them better.
Sure, absolutely. And in taking over those companies, I suppose management has built up quite a good track record in terms of execution and bedding down operations and realizing synergies out of it. As you mentioned, the big number that stood out is 522 million rand in cost synergies. I think the outlook really for management is going to have to be the establishment of growth territories or establishment of a footprint in these growth territories. So earmarking around just under 2 billion rands for growth initiatives, bedding down ones that are already in the pipeline, and about 1.6 billion of that 2 billion for new strategies, Southeast Asia, India mentioned. And this is now relative to, say, something like Sanlam's footprint, where their cash ammunition, call it, is around 3 billion rands. So we're going to have to probably see management putting forward quite meaningful intentions as far as growth goes.
Yeah, and they're freed now of the merger issues that's behind them. Lindsay?
Yeah, Mark Ingham, how do these companies keep on doing it, despite the fact that we hear about the South African consumer not doing very well? We've got MMI servicing both ends of the consumer spectrum, if you like. How on earth do they keep on generating these amazing profits?
Well, I think it gets down to the quality of South African management and the ability to do things in tough circumstances, and they're not letting the environment get them down either. And I think what's quite interesting about this particular stock, and perhaps you could comment too, the yield. You know, we're talking about a good yield after tax, 4.3%, something of that order at 28 rand at the moment. Yeah. Plus, we're also looking at growth too. And for those of us who are struggling to find good value on this market, this seems to be an absolute winner. It's terrific value for money.
Would definitely agree. So you could almost say that that yield, that very attractive yield, is at least creates a floor for that share price of nothing.
How much longer will the value be there, Edward?
Yeah.
I think the core issue here, and I'm sure, Karen, you'd agree with me, is as long as you're building fundamental value and not just massaging or doing financial engineering to create value, it is sustainable. And I think in the acquisitive strategy of MMI, what they have done consistently well is to buy good companies integrated into them, and that gives them both upside potential in terms of growing their top line, but also running their business more efficiently through the synergies and efficiencies that they gain. And my sense is, as long as that is what they're doing, building deep value, it is sustainable, David. And I mean, to come back to Mark's point, it is something that as South African managers, we can indeed pause for a moment. I've recently been on a roadshow to raise capital, and one of the things that consistently came was the track record of South African managers through the eyes of portfolio managers overseas, because often one gets distracted by the noise at the macro level, but actually when you look down into the companies, South African companies rate very highly.
Yeah. On the micro level, Mark, you first, and perhaps Nkareng after that, that number of 522, it would be very interesting to see from inside how they calculate that. Not easy to say, oh, well, we've saved $1 million there and we've saved $1 million there. It's a complex business putting two companies together, but that's the number they've come up with. Wouldn't you like to know more about that?
Well, I think there are personnel issues at play over here that one has to be rather careful of, and I think quite rightly they've highlighted the globular number and haven't delved too deep into that. I think the operative word is it's behind. They're moving on, and it's important, I think, given the difficulty of merging different cultures, entities, and so forth, and they will continue to be doing that, is to make sure you get your people behind you, because it's the people that ultimately actually sort of deliver P&L.
Yeah.
Would certainly agree, and drilling down deeper into those numbers, but also maybe highlighting an area like momentum investments, where management has stated that they haven't maybe realized the scale and the operational profitability they would have liked to realize from their business. So maybe questioning, have they really realized cost synergies from that business, just as a highlight as far as cost savings go. Yeah.
Edward, how about the performance of the market, the JSE Securities Exchange? I mean, it's okay, it's stuck in a bit of a rut at the moment, range bound, but how much of the MMI numbers are due to the fact that the market has gone up and therefore their holdings in the market have gone up as well?
I think generally the market would have expected reasonable results. So I don't think, I mean, the fact that we have a fairly steady market today with minor movements but largely flat, except for in the resource sector, I think suggests that the market was intelligent enough to expect a reasonable set of results from the companies who made the announcements today. I think there were no surprises today. I think a market that reflected the good news and just kept chugging away.
Yeah, and the Aspen share was up by 5% on their numbers. AngloGold down 14%. That's what we're going to talk about, still about the meaning of that announcement today from them. Thanks to Nkareng Mpobane, who is Portfolio Manager at Ashburton Investments.